this is Black History Month. And, you know, I'm black, clearly. And one thing that we know in sports is I think one of the hardest things in general in sports is a black man or black woman getting a head coaching job. We hear about we hear about coaching. There were 7, let's say this. There were 7, let's just talk about this year. There were 7 head coaching positions that were open. You had the Jets, you had the Eagles, you had the Jaguars, you had you had a plethora of head coaching positions. And only 2, which were the Jets and now the Texans, were filled by people of a different ethnicity than Caucasian. And only one of those jobs, which were the Texans, only went to an African American, which is David Culley. Now, I feel, here's the thing. Being an African American, especially trying to get a coaching job, you root for all African Americans. I root for all African Americans. But definitely trying to get a coaching job. Because as we know, and as we've seen, you can throw Mike Tomlin out because that is an anomaly. If you look at all the African American positions, they put you in, you're not really put in a position where you have the quarterback or you have the defense or you have the offense or you have an elite unit. You're usually put in a rebuilding situation. You're usually put in a situation where you don't know what's going to happen next. You're usually put in a lose-lose situation, or usually put in a position where there's turmoil around. So when you look, for instance, let's look at Marvin Lewis, right? Marvin Lewis went to the Bengals. The Bengals, who haven't been good before or after he's left. Now, yeah, I know you have Joe Burrow now, but they haven't been good since before and after Marvin Lewis has left. Now, Marvin Lewis went to the playoffs 7 years in a row. Now, yes, he didn't win a playoff game. I understand that. And I'm not absolving him for not winning a playoff game. But he went to the playoffs 7 years in a row with the Bengals, who, by the way, in his tenure, had a below-average offense. Yes, you had A.J. Green, or healthy A.J. Green. Yes, you had Carson Palmer. Yes, you had, some great players. But the offense wasn't something to snuff at, and their defense most definitely wasn't something to snuff at. But he got them to the playoffs 7 years in a row. Again, I understand he didn't win, but 7 years in a row. He still gets fired. Still. Look at Shannon Sharp said homie's name. I totally forgot, but he said it today actually, or yesterday. Look at the black Arizona coach. Arizona, before Kyler Murray, didn't have much of anything. He gets fired, and now he is the assistant coach for like Arizona State or something. Hell, you can look at the college ranks. Yeah, and Lovie Smith is gone from Illinois. You don't really have too many black coaches in any sport or any level. So let's go back to David Culley. And David Culley is what they like to refer to as a football guy. I think he has been at 14 different positions, whether college or NFL. He's been a quarterback coach. He's been an assistant or offensive coordinator. He's been a tight ends coach. Like, he's been in so many positions. He's been in 14, I believe. 14 positions, both in college and NFL. And I think, I could be wrong, I think he's 65 years old or 65, I believe. And then boom. At 65, you finally get the job that you've been waiting for, a head coaching position. Of course you're going to take it. Because like I said, everybody's dream, I don't care where you are, everybody's dream. Not just black, white, everyone's dream, from the assistant coach to the quarterback coach to the special teams coach. Everybody's dream is to be a head coach. And it's just unfortunate that it takes longer for African Americans than a lot of other. But look at, for instance, Eric Bieniemy. Everyone has been saying for the past few years that Eric Bieniemy is prime for a head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy unlocked the Kansas City Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes, and everyone has been saying that he is a lock. He should be a lock for a head coaching job, especially seeing that there were 7 available. And then you hear reports that he interviewed bad, right? He interviewed bad. I don't know how the hell you can interview bad when all you're doing is introducing yourself, telling you what your plans are for the franchise, saying how you're going to improve the franchise, some plays you want to implement. I don't understand how you can interview bad. But let's just say he did interview bad. Let's just say he didn't have the greatest interview. I don't know if you saw the press conference for the Lions' new coach, or the press conference introducing the Eagles' new coach. But there's no way in heaven or hell you can tell me that Eric Bieniemy did worse than what we heard from the Lions' new head coach or the Eagles' new head coach. Yet and still, Eric Bieniemy at this point, and probably going into next year, will be an assistant coach or offensive coordinator again. But I digress. Let's get back to David Culley, right? I'm happy for David Culley. I wish nothing but the best for David Culley. African American, a football guy, has been 14 different places. Hell, I don't even think there's 14 positions at a regular job. And he 14 different, he went from college to back to NFL, kept going back and forth. I wish nothing but success for David Culley. But with that being said, I feel horrible that the only job he could get is the Texans' job. And here's why. The same day that David Culley was announced as the head coach, a couple hours later, Deshaun Watson requested a trade from the team. Deshaun Watson, who is a once-in-a-generational player, who is most definitely a top 5 quarterback in this league, a top 5 player in this league, requested a trade. Yet and still, and it goes deeper than Deshaun Watson wanting to trade. You have J.J. Watt, who is a staple in Houston, pretty much saying, and I understand, cap stipulations, I understand that, but he's pretty much saying reporters saying he probably wants out. This is yet another instance of an African American accepting the only job that was offered to him, yet he's not set up to win. Because think about it. What happens if you trade Deshaun Watson? You're not going to get equal value. You're going to hope to get close, but you're not going to get equal value. Then you got, David Culley went in and said, I'm here because I know that the organization is going to have Deshaun Watson. I'm here because Deshaun Watson. I'm here because I know that Deshaun Watson is our guy and we're going to move forward. That tells me a lot of things. Deshaun Watson's upset because the organization lied to him. The organization told him that you are going to have input on our head coach and our GM. Now that power usually is not given to players in the NFL because players can get traded left and right. We all know the NFL is about protecting the shield, meaning usually protecting the higher ups. But and that level of power you usually see in the NBA is not really seen in the NFL. But we've seen that the Houston Texans cannot get it right. We've seen that the head coaching positions have been god awful. And we've seen their GM choices have been god awful. Hell, we don't need to talk about Bill O'Brien. But when the organization comes to you, the franchise player, the best player on the team, and says, we're going to give you input on the GM and the head coach. Of course, you're not going to make the final decision, but we're going to give you that input. Then you turn around and don't even listen to him, don't even accept what he's offering. He gives you a list of players or gives you a list of coaches and GMs, and you don't even consider them. And the only reason why you interview an African American and kind of hire David Culley is in hopes that because he's African American, that's gonna sway Deshaun Watson to come or to want to stay. That's as deceitful gets. So you lied to Deshaun Watson, and now we're kind of seeing that you lied to David Culley and said that we're going to keep, there's no way in heaven or hell Deshaun Watson could be alpha. There's no way in heaven or hell we're not going to start the season without Deshaun Watson. Yet and still, everything has said Deshaun Watson's not going to be here. So not only are you lying to your players, you're lying to your new head coach. You see where I'm getting at when I say that I feel bad for David Culley for being I'm not gonna say getting thrown in the situation, because again, he fought his entire life to be a head coach in the NFL. And he's finally getting that position. So on one hand, like I said, I'm happy for him. I want nothing but the best. But on another hand, I'm seeing they're putting him in the worst. He was offered and took the worst head coaching position arguably in the NFL. Because there's so much turmoil around Houston right now. And there's so much unknowns. Is Deshaun Watson going to be there? What is your staff going to look like? What is is J.J. Watt, your franchise or your franchise defensive player? Is he going to be there? Like, there's so many unknowns. How do you expect to win like that? How do you expect David Culley to change an organization, to change a franchise, yet and still there's so many unknowns? And you know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen because we've seen it. They're going to struggle. The Texans are going to struggle. And instead of looking themselves in the mirror and realizing that they, as an organization, is the reason, they're going to blame it on David Culley. He's probably going to, unless he just has a miracle season, he's probably going to get 2 to 3 years. I'll say 2. And if he can't, because I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be there. I don't think J.J. Watt's going to be there. And I think you're going to see a lot more turmoil because of the ownership in the not because of David Culley, but because the people above him. They're going to give him about 2 years, and they're going to blame him. And he's going to get fired, and what's going to happen? He's gonna go back to being an assistant coach or a quarterback coach, because he was a quarterback coach for the Ravens before he got this job. A quarterback coach or whatever, and then there's gonna be, we're gonna hear rumbles, maybe Eric Bieniemy, or another African American candidate. They're gonna interview for the job and not get it. We know how this goes. So again, in one hand, I'm happy for David Culley. Finally getting that dream and being a head coach of an NFL football team, especially seeing as though you've done 14 different jobs, both college and NFL. But on the other hand, I know what's happening. Everyone can see it. Everyone should see it. They haven't set him up for success. Seeing as though you're going to a franchise where you think or you're told, let's say, you're told that Deshaun Watson is going to be there for you and you're going to be able to build around him. To get the job and now realize, wait, you might have been lying to me. And of course, they're going to blame him and not you can't blame the GM. I mean, they're not going to blame the GM because he's new. And of course, he's another Patriots guy. And you're not going to blame the owner because, I mean, he owns the team. You're going to blame the black head coach. 2 years tops, unfortunately. And a lot of people's like, well, Deshaun Watson, now you have a black coach, you should stay, or you can't throw my man's under the bus. Look, bro, Deshaun Watson, do what Andre Johnson say, stand pat, and because again, the head coach, especially in an organization like the Texans, as we've seen, the GM and the owner, just the head coach really has no power. If you feel the best option for you is to leave, get the hell out, bro. It's because, I mean, I know he's 25, which is also crazy that a 25-year-old is done with an organization. We've never seen something like this. But, man, get out, bro. Do what you got to do. Go to a place that values you, that listens to you, and that will give you the proper help. Instead of trade away all your best pieces. Trade away offensive lineman because he had a problem with the owner said. Trade away your best and arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league because him and the head coach / GM just couldn't see eye to eye. Go to an organization that understands how to win and how to be a it doesn't have to be a winning team, but how to be a healthy culture. Let's say that.